the mind of a maniac, doomed to be a killer since I came out the nutsack. I'm in a murderous mind state with a heart full of terror. I see the devil.
Hello, my name is Muir and welcome to Volume 3 of the Wrestling 20 Years Ago podcast, where we jump back in time machine to July of 1996 and review everything ECW. Volume 1 has got WCW's Bash at the Beach and the big reveal of the Outsider's third man. Volume 2 has WWF's latest In Your House, but I am joined in this apparent Sunday night war with a super brawling, Norwich trawling, likes to think he's funny, and Jim Cornette owes him money. It's none other than Chris, he's hardcore Lacey. Hello, Chris.
Why, Del, that's sort of an intro. How can I not be wonderful?
The band is back together, Lacey. It's the Dream Team. Triple A's 1994 broadcast tandem of Lacey and Muir are back. How are we?
I am absolutely wonderful.
Smash. Cards on the table up front, Lacey. There's pretty much nothing notable in ECW this month, but as we're contracted to have a news bit, give me some headlines. I'll try and fill in some blanks, Lacey.
So, the first bit that I have for you is Taz's latest shoot that was a work turned into a work shoot, brother.
Following on for last month, Taz again just dragging this on, apparently upset with comments made for Paul Varowins, might know him as the polar bear for UFC. His name at least was mentioned again in this month's Hardcore TV. It's a start. It was still come back to this finish situation that we spoke about last month. It was dragged up. Both parties didn't agree with the outcome. The only highlight in this for me was Saturn, aka Perry Situlo. He was talking about Paul Farrowin's apparent black belt in trap fighting. Apparently that must mean if you get in a fight, you're trapped. That was pretty much the only positive of this. Give me another headline, Lacey. We'll try and get some news out of this yet.
Tyler Fullington, the junior MVP of the house show circuit.
Oh, we're struggling. Tyler Fullington, Sandman's son, spoke about him last month when we were on with Rory McNamara. He's the son of the Sandman, who I thought was 9-year-old last month, Lacey. I don't know if you picked up on it, Hardcore TV this month. Apparently he's 6-year-old now. I thought it was basically, they're still involving him in the angle. It's had a bit of bad press. It doesn't seem to be going anywhere quickly, but God love him, he's even been getting in Kane and his dad. Raven's still the world champion. That's pretty much that.
So, ECW, Extreme Comedy Wrestling?
ECW has never really wanted to kind of shy away from jumping the shark whenever they can, unlike the big two nationals. This month we've seen Chris Benoit and Kevin Sullivan fighting in a bathroom. ECW, when they wanted to let this one slide, they done the same thing, and unlucky young lady, she was caught short in the action. They also did a rib on the Shawn Michaels and Davey Boy Smith double pin finish. Again, they've never wanted to shy away from mocking the big two, and this month's no different.
So, now we have some sort of proper news.
Actual news, Lacey, actual news.
Attendance records broken twice.
Not once, but twice. Spoke about it briefly last month. ECW is putting some new bleachers into the ECW arena. They drew a record number. It was them beaten at Heat Wave, which we're going to review later in the show. As always, ECW estimates are always pretty ropey, but we are estimating them between about 12 and 1,700. The tapes do show noticeable differences for previous crowds. The walking brawls, as if they weren't hazardous enough, are now even more so. Apparently there's kind of lucky if you're even getting walking room in the arena, but it does make it look a bit bigger, and it just kind of emphasises that big fish in a small pond. Anything else, Lacey?
Last but no means least, we've had 4 returns and a sacking, sort of.
Kinda, aye. One star that did return this month, a big bit of a return, by no means unphysical, is the sizeable frame of 911. Paulie's former henchman returned at the Heat Wave show. He chokeslammed Taz after Bill Alfonso tried to sack Joey Styles. Where the authority comes from, I don't quite know, but elsewhere there were debuts for Louis Piccoli and Tarzan Goto. Goto's coming over from Japan. He wrestles with IWA. He's part of a talent exchange. It's apparent that ECW is going to be running 2 shows in August 10th and 11th. I think it's Yokohama and Tokyo that they're going to be in. And the biggest of all big news, Lacey, is if 9-1 was a big enough draw, we also have the return of the giant 5'4" Paul Laurier.
The giant has returned.
Back, man. Keep your WCW giant, keep 911. Paul Laurier is back on TV.
A father gives up a lifetime of chasing women, of fast cars, of unwarranted hedonism in order to bring a child onto this earth. A mother spends 9 months with a baby in her womb, a fetus, giving up cigarettes, alcohol, giving it all her attention just to bring this child onto the earth. And then, for 18 years, 18 long years, they spend raising this child, catering to every whim, giving it every single thing it wants, whether it be nursing, schooling, educational help, it doesn't matter. Suffering at every turn, and gladly, because they'll do anything to make sure this child is raised properly and correctly. And isn't it kind of funny that yet they turn to me for their salvation, for absolution, for benediction? You see, the torturous parenting that you gave them, the childlike lessons that you tried to instill meant nothing. Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, Shannon Hoon, even Kurt Cobain couldn't deliver these children from the torment, from the pain, the anguish, the suffering that they've spent an entire lifetime coming to grips with. You see, the mind that controls the children is the mind that rules the future. And I am their salvation!
Quote to Raven, nevermore.
You see, I control the children! Or at least Sandman's.
Firing on TV reviews, Lacey. Start off July 2nd, ECW. It's pretty much a no event this month. It's really just showing highlights before Heatwave came back to June. Highlights after Heatwave of Heatwave itself, but we'll fire through them as quick as we can. July 2nd show opens up with a Raven promo, pretty much aimed at the Sandman and Peaches, of Jim and Laurie Fullington, to give it the full shoot treatment. He talks about the parent having a child, and also subtle aim at his plans for young Tyler Fullington. We get Joey Styles welcoming us in a somber tone, talking about Raven's apparent possession of Sandman's son. Make it out what you will. We get highlights of last month's match with Terry Gordy, Bam Bam for the Freebirds. We get the ending angle with Raven and Sandman, or Peaches and Tyler, and the months Rage in the Cage, building up to that. We get a recap of June's TV title match between Chris Jericho and Pitbull 2. Styles then builds up to Heatwave. We've got a Four Corners match for the TV title. That's going to be between Jericho and Pitbull 2. Also adding in franchise Shane Douglas and Two Cold Scorpio. Styles goes over the 7 battle with almost supremacy amongst the Dudley clan about Devon and Big Dick Dudley. The main event sees primetime Brian Lee and Tommy Dreamer's weapons match with a beatdown of Tommy by the Bruise Brothers. That's after Beulah and Kimona help Dreamer pick up the win. In the closing shot is Brian Lee giving Tommy the primetime slam, or at least choke slam, from the Eagle's Nest through 2 tables. Moving on, we've got June 9th, almost to kind of go home before the Heatwave event. Again, we open up with the aftermath of last week, showing Tommy backstage getting put in an ambulance. Fans getting him around the applause, ECW chants all round. Joey then puts in his final hawk for tickets for the Saturday night show, breaks down the rules to the main event. Chances are we're going to come back to that because I'm still confused about what the actual rules were, so I'll let Joey explain that when we come to it. Styles introduces Tommy Dreamer. He guarantees a new level of extreme for Brian Lee come the main event. And Joey tells us how the Gangsters are possibly the most popular team in ECW history, which at first sounds ridiculous at best, but see if you think about it, it possibly is quite true. Honourable shout, obviously, to Johnny and Rocco now in WCW. But we see the breakdown of last month's New Jack Mustafa, Eliminator, Samoans, Harris's. That'll boil over in a couple of weeks' time again. We'll come to it after the main show. And we re-air the Sabu and Rob Van Dam match with Hardcore Homecoming. The end shows a promo package with everybody breaking down their bouts at Heatwave. Stevie Richards, as ever, just showing his unrivaled comedy chops with a blessed foil of Todd Gordon. And next up is going to be Hardcore Heatwave.
Is mine. They always said that the franchise wasn't hardcore enough. They always said that the franchise couldn't get into the ECW and do it hardcore style and get extreme.
Franchise, we gotta get you to the hospital, man.
But you know something, Pitbull? You can bust me from ear to ear. I can bleed all the blood, sweat all the sweat, and I can cry all the tears. But Pitbull, let me tell you something.
Franchise, we gotta get you to the hospital.
You've drawn first blood. You just wait 1 second. You've drawn first blood. And the way I see it, Pitbull, where you make the first call with blood, I make the second call with blood. Chris Jericho, you've got something I want. Something that belongs to me, and son, that puts you in an enviable position. Four corners match, anybody can be tagged in. Pitbull, you've drawn first blood. Jericho, you've got my gold. Too Cold Scorpio, I'm non-factor. I want back what's rightfully mine.
Franchise, I gotta get you to the hospital. You need at least 20 stitches, friend.
You just go ahead and you call the hospital and you tell them that the franchise is coming.
Right.
I don't plan on standing behind any welfare recipient, any piece of homeless person. I'm not homeless. I'm not a welfare recipient. I've got insurance. I get paid damn well for what I do. Pitbull, these stitches in my head are going to remind me every single one that they put that needle through 15, 20, 25 times. Every single time they stick that needle into my flesh, I'm going to think of you, and I'm going to make you pay, Pitbull. I'm going to make you pay, Anthony. You got it, son? It's a shoot now, and now it's all for blood and gold.
So, Heatwave 96 opened with the Gangsters going against the Samoan Gangster Party, that ending in a no contest. Mikey Whipwreck defeated the returning Giant, Paul Laurier. The Eliminators beat Sabu and Mikey Whipwreck in an impromptu tag team match for the ECW tag team titles. The Dudley Boys, Bubba and Big Dick, fought the FBI and beat them in 6 minutes. Tarzan Goto defeated Axel Rotten. Shane Douglas defeated TV champion Chris Jericho, Cold Scorpio and Pitbull number 2 in a 4 corners elimination match to win the new ECW TV title. Sabu defeated Louis Spicoli even. And in your main event of the evening, Sandman, Terry Gordy and Tommy Dreamer defeated Raven, Brian Lee and Stevie Richards in a cage match.
Thank you very much, Lacey. Thoughts on the show? Have you missed ECW with the jink of the offer?
Well, obviously seeing most of it this year, I sort of only ever taken off like 1 month away from it. I was like, let's see what they've got. It's been a good run so far. You know, some very, very good shows. This one wasn't so much.
Oh, Lacey, don't disappoint us.
It's all the matches other than the 4 corner match, which is an absolute beast, were all really short and all just sort of fleeted out this month.
It's a fair point. We'll come on to it as we talk about it. I actually thought it was pretty decent. Again, I don't know if I'm on the Kool-Aid that I was on last month. I thought there was some pretty decent fights, and obviously there is that almost taking up like a third of the tape with the title match for the TV with the 4 corner elimination. Obviously, you've got 4 guys in it that could arguably have been maybe split up into a couple of kind of singles matches, you're going to get a lot of time in it, but I thought he did well. Anyway, we hang about. Cracking on, we'll up with the Samoan Gangster Party. They come out to the ring. They're set up to go up against New Jack and Mustafa. The Samoans mock the Gangsters, and Dre and Ice Cube hits. Out come New Jack and Mustafa. The Gangsters hit the ring with the trash cans. 4 of them pretty much go at it straight away. New Jack works over Smooth inside. Mustafa takes Silk to the outside. New Jack cuts up Smooth before they beat both of them down with chairs. Canes, road signs, welcome ECW. Jim Molyneux asked Mustafa to finish it as it's a pretty bloodthirsty start. New Jack drags Sam and Silk through the crowd. Jack gets back, bites Silk ringside right in the chest with his teeth. The referees clear the Samoans for the ring, and New Jack takes a mic calling for a 4-corner tag match with the Eliminators, the Bruise Brothers and the Samoans. I think that's pretty much it, Lacey. I think they put this in the record books as a no contest. I believe it was clear that the Samoans couldn't continue with the referees, but it was a pretty blistering start, would you think? It
was your standard gangsters fodder. They come down, they batter people with whatever they bring with them. The finish of it, just sort of the Samoans walking away and it being a no contest, was a little bit weak compared to what we've seen from, you know, especially in sort of recent times, especially for an opener as well. The openers normally do get a definitive. But, you know, for what we expect from the Gangsters, we got it. Violence.
Pretty much. I fall a little bit cut off rather soon. Blood feuds ending with a no contest. It shows hope that there might be some left in this and the gas in the tank, but as you say, bit of a weak finish. Back to ringside. As ever, the ECW home video was pretty much sharp cuts between matches. We cut to Damien Kane, and Lacey, you're an 80s wrestling fan. I thought he was just in his best gorgeous Jimmy Garvin get up, complete with his own homemade precious.
He was very much sort of channeling gorgeous Jimmy Garvin, and, you know, sort of just there with the essence of 80s in the middle of the 90s.
They knew you were coming, man. They knew you were coming. So after failing to beat Mikey previously, gorgeous Jimmy, or to give him his proper moniker, Damien Kane, he's got another opponent for Mikey. It's none other than the aforementioned giant Paul, 5'4" Lauria. So we get the second match of the night. It's Mikey going up against Paul Lauria. Mikey takes the giant to the outside. Lauria gets one up on Mikey, but he crotches Lauria in the top. And we've got a win, Lacey, 132, I believe it was officially announced that, but that was that.
It pretty much was a nothing squash. Especially when you think back, a year or so ago when we had that run of these two having...
These two were starting to go at it, yeah.
Really quite competitive 15, 20-minute matches.
Yeah.
For it literally to be over in a minute and a bit.
Although there was a nice call for Joey Styles at the end of it, thanks. Fuck, man. Lauria started this match 5-4, he might be 4-9 then. Again.
Very
little
true.
Nuggets like that, just make ECW what it is. Straight after this, we get the Eliminators hitting the ring. They nail Lauria, as we said, with a total elimination, making him now apparently 4'9", which could almost be believed. Saturn accepts New Jack's earlier 4-way invite. Cronus launches Mikey over the top. Saturn twice calls her the tag belts. His wee bit of an underlying story here, Lacey. I think we'll probably come on to it a wee bit more later in the show, but Saturn calls it the tag belt's his and then corrects it to ours. Says Mikey should go up against go get his idol Sabu, give them a match, and as you alluded to in the results, we've got an impromptu match. We've got Sabu coming out for the back. And it's on. We get Sabu and Mikey going up against the Eliminators. Saturn and Cronus dodging the jump to rings the pussies from the crowd. Saturn accepts the match, as I say, and for the titles. But in one strict condition, it is a traditional tag match. Bobby Bamba would be proud. 1 man per team in the ring at a time. Actual tags and all.
Rules in ECW.
Rules,
it's unheard of.
Rules. It happens on occasion. I'm not a fan, but it does break out. We do actually have a tag match. Sabu works over Saturn's knee, Perry grabs the rope, some shots to the champion, get him down. A springboard senton. Saturn nails a thrust kick, then a shot to the neck. Sabu's out in his neck brace, so he stays down. There is a lovely top rope splash with about 3 or 4 seconds of hang time for the eliminator. He then tags in Cronus. Sabu gets hit with a kind of an acrobatic corner elbow. Mikey tags in, turns the tide a bit. We got a double arm drags to both eliminators, and Sabu splashes the pair of them, but it only gets a 2 count. Mikey arm bars Cronus. Sabu then bulldogs Cronus off Mikey's back instead of a chair. Got to do what you can, I suppose. There is a budget. Saturn hits a brain buster, but the referee ushers out Sabu. We get a savate kick to Mikey for a long 2. Eliminators hit with almost a modified doomsday device. Sabu's interference gets cut off, but then a big German suplex with Saturn. Drop kick launches Sabu for the apron, and the crowd rally behind everyone's favourite underdog, Mikey Whipwreck. We got a superplex reversal for Mikey. He goes for a Frankensteiner, but it gets turned into a powerbomb. Sabu finally manages to get the tag. He gets a chair in, goes for the air Sabu, but he quote-unquote fucks up, to quote the Philly faithful. Saturn regains control. A stunning springboard hurricanrana for the top rope for Sabu to Saturn. He gets the Arabian powerbomb. He then gets a sunset flip over Saturn to the outside, drives him onto the concrete. But back in the ring, Cronus hits Sabu through the table on the outside. Total elimination to Mikey Whipwreck, and the champs retain. Lacey, I loved this. I thought this was actually pretty good.
This was really, really good, sort of back and forth. Yeah. You know, having it actually have some rules helped this match. Because if it would have just been your standard tornado tag fair, I think it may have just sort of been lost in everything else in this show.
Pretty much.
Whereas with it being proper tags, only 2 people in the ring at a time, Sabu still does Sabu shit.
Yes.
He's still going to bring the chair and he's still going to use the chair. People are still going through tables. But it's easier to follow than when it's tornado and there's shit going on everywhere, which we'll go to a lot later with other matches. It was a novelty to be able to follow the carnage.
You can actually watch it and you see, oh, he's in the ring. Oh, and he's fighting him. Oh, no two are waiting. They're actually getting tag heat. It made sense and it worked, Lacey. It worked.
I know. And on top of that, Mikey and Sabu could be a good tag team if they put them together. I'd quite like to see a sort of run of them two together.
I mean, we've seen it before. Mikey and Cactus kind of come out of nowhere. Cactus taking him under his wing. Sabu don't talk. Mikey's got the fans behind him. It's got potential, man. If we're never going to get to this Sabu and Taz match, if we're never going to get to this, it must come at some point. ECW pay-per-view. It's something that's going to get the crowds. They love the pair of them. It makes sense. As I say, it does flash back to Cactus and Mikey in '94, but as you say, it could work. As I say, it wasn't a world beater by any means, but anytime you get Sabu in the ring, you're going to see shit you don't see anywhere else. Mikey's really, really come on. I said it last month. If you look back to maybe 18 months, 2 years ago, he's just a different beast. He's well, I suppose we said that he was never going to be a world champion. He showed us, but he is kind of getting in some offense. He's showing some potential. He's came on for just kind of jumping about the ring pre-shows and kind of setting up the ring and then doing moonsaults. He's coming into a man. He's on it almost as if we're kind of watching this boy grow up. As you say, any time we get the two of these together, it might have some chops in the next couple of months. But next up, after the impromptu tag, we've got my favourite act, Little Guido. He passes Bob Ortiz a written introduction, and we get the debut, Lacey, of the Italian karaoke bistro, starring none other than old Blue Eyes, JT Smith. I never actually
singing voice.
See, I was so excited about this, and then I don't think we actually got an Italian karaoke bistro.
We didn't. I was waiting to hear the singing voice come out of him.
I was so excited, and then it just kind of, where'd it go? It was like, maybe next month. His old blur is, that was a Freudian slip. His old brown eyes, JT Smith. You can never go wrong. We then get Big Sal, the apparent uncle, of the full-blooded Italians. Big Sal Balomo. He brings it JT. Smith takes the mic. Guido, he gets bilingual and bisexual mixed up. JT tries to calm the crowd down. They're getting a wee bit rowdy. Little Guido says there's just too many damn Dudleys. So he brings out his little brother. Ironically, it's Big Guido, who's easily 7 feet tall. The Deliverance banjos hit. We get Bubba coming out leading the Dudleys. He's wearing a very nice fuck you Devon headband. And Big Dick coming up the rear. Firing on, we've got another actual tag match. We've got the Dudley brothers, and it's going to be Big Dick and Bubba, at least for now, going up against Little Guido and JT Smith. When they hear a chant coming for the Eagle's Nest, it's none other than the Black Sheep in the Dudley clan. Devon calls it this bullshit for Big Dick. He says he's trying to take his fucking family, and he'll kick Dick's ass, and the rest of the brothers can kiss Devon's. Big Dick goes after Devon, dances with, then takes his place in the match. Little Guido gets a couple of shots in before Big Guido slams the moccasins off DW Dudley. Dick gets back in. Devon's fled, but Bubba tries to pile drive Big Guido. His big brother blocks it, and Bubba takes a power bomb. Sal tries to cheer Big Dick. Obviously, it gets no sold. Then he gets Big Guido up before the FBI beat him down. Devon takes to the plate with a chair as usual, levels out Sign Guy with a chair, levels Chubby with a chair, levels DW with a chair. Bubba shows him the headband, the crowd get behind him, but just before he cheers him, Devon begs off Bubba to stop before hitting a low blow. The FBI still work over Big Dick. Out of nowhere we then get Shah. Hack Myers comes in, he gets Devon down, but the two of them back and square off. Devon runs, Big Dick hits Big Guido with a power bomb. In the match, it was still apparently going on during all of this. Gets one. Lacey made an angle in the match, really, but what do you think?
As I say, this was very much more about the internal debates of the Dudley family than the Dudleys versus the FBI. Obviously, it's good to see that Little Guido's little baby brother is a fucking beast.
Christ, they shoot up, didn't they?
Whatever they was feeding him, they weren't feeding Little Guido.
It's the Colonies, man. The Colonies just worked better for him than they did Big Val. Big Val was just obviously eating the ones with too many grease in it.
Aye.
Big Guido was clearly just stripping the fat off the Colonies.
Though I am quite interested to see what's going to happen with the Dudleys.
Very much.
Because I have to say, they have become my favourite, other than like the main events and the Ravens and Sandmans and Tommy Dreamer bits. Having the Dudleys there as a sort of conglomerate of characters is one of those very, really intriguing things about ECW, which, I always want to watch it to see what are they going to do with the Dudleys.
See, it's so, I've spoken about this for months and months, and it's like, we couldn't get this any more ridiculous than kind of Big Daddy Dudley walking about, he's just shagging about state to state. We get Dances with, we get Big Dick, we get Chubby, Sign Guy, Bubba comes out. He showed the bit of storytelling last month. We've been able to finally say his name. We've then got Devon, who is almost literally the black sheep of the family. And as you say, it does make sense. We did kind of wonder a wee bit if it's just maybe leading to a Devon Big Dick fight, which I don't think would maybe be the best outcome, but it is something that does definitely need to get attention, even if it's just short term to lead to something else bigger. But as you say, as an actor, there's nothing else you're going to see like them. You're not going to see 6 guys coming out in tie-dye. You're not going to see 6 apparent brothers more dissimilar in any way, whether it comes to accents or skin tone. Big Dick is just a beast. He's almost rose a wee bit in the absence of 911. He is the big guy. You're then getting this Guido coming in, Big Guido as opposed to Little Guido. The FBI's got their own kind of story. The Dudleys have got their own. As I say, it was more an angle than a match. But as you say, it's just a captivating story, and there are a couple of different kind of threads to this that could easily get told.
Because obviously with Devon, he could come in with some other brothers, and sort of fill out his side and have
in mind.
Devon Dudleys versus Bubba's Dudleys.
Yeah.
Gang warfare of the family.
Totally. And it's got money on it. They're a very strange setup, but as I say, they've got something. They're just captivating to watch, whether it's Bubba kind of getting the better of his stutter, whether it's Devon and Big Dicker. I just hope we don't see Devon too much with a steel chair, because you just worry about the injuries in the back of it. But as I say, I'm all in on it. I think it's a good angle, good story. They've got a good family. Let's just see where it goes. Next up, again, another hard cut. We got Axel Rotten, again hailing from Newcastle, England. Axel set to the ring. His opponent, imported for Japan's FMW, is Tarzan Goto. Goto goes for the legs to start. Big guy, Axel backs him off before starting to run his mouth. They swap body charges, but Goto gets some back body drop. Axel hits a heel kick. They trade bombs. Rotten gets tied into the ropes and then thrown to the ringside. Lacey, I've got a note at this point. It's maybe not the best start to the show. Kind of 3 matches in. Not every match needs a fucking ringside brawl. But
I was going to say, there's walking brawls everywhere tonight.
It's just that you get in the ring, couple of shots, goes to the outside, have a brawl. It's just paint by numbers. But he did actually impress me, Axel. They have a steel chair sword fight in that side, that spot that we would see again later in the month. But Rotten gets thrown onto a table. Disney managed to break it. Again, they trawl through the crowd. They show off the new bleachers. After a brief hiatus, the T's coming back into the ring. Goto gets a chair beaten down Axel. Lacey, this was fucking savage looking, man. The chair ended up in bits.
Well, this is clearly strong style.
Yeah.
This Goto lad does not come to fuck about. He is not there to play. And it was the backdrop that he did afterwards.
Depot. Yeah, it was pretty. We get a lax cover after that. Only gets a 2. Axel gets a new chair, tries to get even. Rotten then gets chance as he really runs and bumps for Goto. DDT, the chair gets reversed. Goto hits a brain buster, hits him to the steel chair, gets the win. Lacey, the thing I took for this is I was actually genuinely impressed by Axel Rotten. I've got a soft spot for Axel Rotten. I think the blood feud with Ian was a bit kind of backward step, the way that they rushed into it and the way that they then done it every week for about 2 months. But it's very rare that I see Axel Rotten actually showing kind of almost athleticism in a match. I think he was pretty much forced to when you've got Tarzan Goto in the ring. But he was doing heel kicks, he was doing a lot of running, a lot of bumping, and it just helped get Goto over, I thought.
The thing with this is, clearly, it shows that Rotten has more to him than Type A death matches and C4 matches and hitting or being hit with a chair. You know, he can work, he can put on a match, and the thing with, obviously, Goto is he very much is that Japanese style of everything is snug, to say the least. And obviously, it's like when he hits that brainbuster at the end. If Rotten's head didn't hit the chair, I'd be impressed, because it looked like he was absolutely levered up that chair on that brainbuster.
Pretty much. And I see that bit in the middle with the steel chair, man, it's like, you believe it. I don't even want it. You don't even need to suspend your disbelief with this match, man. It's just brutal. As you say, Axel's got more to him than Type A death match. You see, the Ian thing was a bit of a kind of black mark or a red mark with all the blood that was splattered in it with the kind of glass covered fists. But as you say, Axel's got some chops, man. He's a worker. He's a good boy. Like the way that he was bumping about for Goto. He knows his place in the roster. He's never really going to be a poster boy unless it is in a land of misfit toys, as you like to call it, in Philadelphia. But as I say, Axel really impressed me in this. Just to kind of show up with the ECW kind of continuity errors. Again, we spoke about earlier on with Tyler Fullington being 9 last month. He's 6 this month. Tarzan Goto coming for IWA and then FMW. We got another lovely bit of inconsistency 52 minutes in, Lacey, we get introduced by Joey Styles. Welcome to Heat Wave 1996. Yeah, fucks. Styles brings out Taz. He's got Fonzie with him. He's got Team Taz with him. Alfonso just lapping up the booze. Styles says that the polar bear is back on ice, referring to his last opponent, Paul Varowins. Taz runs down his chokeouts in the last kind of few weeks and months and years. He's done it to Bam Bam Bigelow for the WWF. He's done it to the Power Ranger Devon Storm for WCW. And he's done it, as we say, last month to UFC's Paul Varowins. The crowd scream, "Fuck you" at Taz. He says he loves him too. A little bit of sarcasm there. Fonzie calls himself and Taz superstars. He declares that his first order of business is to sack Joey Styles. Joey stands up to Fonzie. Taz calls him a motherfucker, and he takes the sack quite happily. Fonzie announces that his new personal commentator, everybody's favourite insolent prick, tuxedo-clad Joe Gertner. He compares Styles to Vince McMahon in the WWF, only in a commentating position because he's got power. Eric Bischoff in WCW, only got authority, and then that's why he's commentating. Joey doesn't have that. He reluctantly shakes Gertner's hand again after forced by Taz. Taz then gets his formal introduction by Joel Gertner. He calls out the Sandman for being a crying drunk. The crowd start to berate him. He says if Tyler was his kid, and it was his kid that had betrayed him, he'd be taking him down the basement and beating some respect into him. Taz then starts on Tommy Dreamer and his two quote-unquote lesbian slut rat wives. And then, Lacey, who's back? Dial it up. 911. Gertner,
the big man is here.
He's back. Gertner very much gives a subdued introduction. The independent wrestler extraordinaire, 911, is here. Gertner then gets chokeslammed out his slip-ons. Taz gets the same, and the crowd just go ape shit at this. Taz ends up getting up. He Germans 911 before locking in a choke. The big man's out as the officials run the ring. A wee bit of a subdued end to this, Lacey, because the crowd popped like fuck for 911. They've not been able to chant his name for months now. I did like this. I think it built up Taz. Fonzie in the ring. He's actually started whistling to drown out the booze now. Again, I thought it was really good. What do you think about this? More so the 911 return, but what did you think of the angle itself?
See, the whole Fonzie berating Joey bit was sort of ECW by numbers a bit, really. It was sort of, oh look, here he is. He's going to sort of badmouth someone, get heat. Taz is going to be quiet and sort of be there as sort of the person to enforce what Fonzie's saying. I quite enjoyed Joel Gertner. I could see that, there could be something with him.
Don't tempt that, please.
Well, he could be a second announcer, maybe an interviewer. Could be something there for him.
He's a prick.
But so's Alfonso, but we still want him about.
That was a fucking well-played card, Lacey. Hats off, my friend.
911 came out. Mega pop. And I think the thing that helps this the most is how Taz no-sold the chokeslam.
Yeah.
Because literally within seconds, one turning round, Taz is already on his feet and taking him down. It makes Taz look super impressive. Because if you think the amount of people, when 911 was Paulie's enforcer, the slam for it now for Taz to completely know something, be straight up afterwards, just puts him in his own little sort of echelon of people that don't take no shit.
And it just made sense as well. I mean, how fucking diluted did the Paul Varro and stuff get last month? We spoke about it at the start of this month. They come out, they try to bring in these guys, which in paper makes absolute sense for Taz. You get him in the ring with a fighter, it then just turned to shit when there was the fall. Is it a work? Is it a shoot? Is it a work? Shoot? Is it a shoot? Is it a what? It just didn't work, and there's no follow up on it. Varowins gets his paycheck, he comes in, does his best to try and do the job. Didn't really work, as we've now experienced. you just get a trusted hand in, man. They had issues with 911 and Paul E, as we all knew about, and a couple of months ago when we were going through the news, where it just made sense. You bring in a guy, you know what you get. The pop at 911 got was brilliant. The reaction that he got for the crowd. They've missed the big man. I've missed the big man. I think he's missed it as well. And then you get that image at the end of 911 choked out, and it's like, fuck. Didn't see that coming.
And it's looking out. Obviously, seeing him do it to Bam Bam, seeing him, if he sort of grabbed hold of Sabu or something like that and doing it, instant look at that, we know how hard these people are. But doing it to someone as big as 911, and with that sort of reputation that 911 enforcer, I think it works so well.
So, next up, meat and veg for the night. Do bear with me, boys and girls. We've got the 4-corner match for the TV title. Lionheart, Chris Jericho, Too Cold Scorpio, Pitbull number 2, and the franchise, Shane Douglas. Jericho's out first. Pretty decent reaction. Scorpio's out next, and the two of them stared down in the ring. Douglas comes out, light him up the atmosphere. He ends up sitting ringside to just watch Scorpio and Jericho. Franchise, we love you. Pitbull 2 gets the best reaction out of the 4. Playing back to last month, just the build that they've done with that guy, they've actually made him into a bit of a star, which is no mean feat, considering, as I say, he never had a star. He's never actually even got a name. He's just got a number. They've done well with him. But as soon as he's out, he gets cheered and cut to fuck by Shane Douglas. Scorpio and Jericho start off pretty fast. Scorpio gets launched out of the ring, and the crowd chant for Lionheart. Franchise gets in. Him and Jericho slow it down a wee bit, trading chops to various woo chants in direction to Ric Flair and the chops in ring. Lionheart goes for a lion salt, gets in early too. Pitbull 2 into loud cheers, but as soon as Douglas notices him, he runs to Scorpio for the tag. Pitbull plays a power game. Scorpio goes to the top, but Jericho crotches him. The two of them go to the top rope. Jericho nails a hurricanrana, but Douglas tags himself in. We get a heel kick for Scorpio, fast rights and left, pretty much days in franchise. The two get to the outside. Douglas eats a chair. At this point, he's covered in beer, covered in soda for the crowd. Scorpio throws him in, again gets a 2 count. Douglas flees a tag down Pitbull 2, tags Jericho in to deal with him. Pitbull again gets a 2 in Lionheart. Jericho gets whipped into the corner, fuck knows why, but he tries a leap over for the turnbuckle. Pitbull never ran in, so it just ends up getting crowd chants of you fucked up. Scorpio tags in, gets a DDT for the champion. Franchise again refuses the tag. Pitbull and Scorpio are in the ring. Top rope overhead suplex to Too Cold Scorpio. Douglas finally takes on the Pitbull. Couple of hit top reversals back and forth. They end up falling through the ropes to the outside. Jericho then gets up to the top, does a splash, lands in the two of them. Scorpio then gets up to the top, does a splash, lands in the three of them. ECW one-upmanship. Franchise takes a time out with the chair in the ring. Pitbull comes in, ends up getting a bulldog to the steel. Francine then leads the crowd and Pitbull chants. Pitbull 2 pretty much cleans Douglas's clock. Jericho hits a missile drop kick, but the Pitbull breaks the fall. Pretty nice story starting to develop. Basically, everybody's trying to beat Douglas because he's a prick, and they end up just getting in each other's way. They can never actually pin him. Jericho slaps on the figure 4. Again, more woo chants. Douglas falls back on his shoulders, a couple of near falls. Pitbull shouts out for the apron to break his leg. Second attempt at the figure 4 gets blocked. Douglas tags in Scorpio. Jericho goes for the lion salt, but fuck me, Too Cold drop kicks him mid-leap to the back of the head. The entire bleachers are on their feet. Power bomb for Scorpio, laps up the crowd, fails to go for the cover. Drop kick for Jericho. Again, Douglas refuses the tag. Lionheart forces him. One shot to Scorpio. Douglas tags Jericho back in. Scorpio nails a tombstone. That's not enough. Jumps up the top, goes for the tumbleweed. 1, 2, 3. First elimination, Lacey. The champ is out. We're going to have a new champion.
We are. Something I was going to bring up at the end, but I don't know if you would know. Is Jericho off, or is he still being about? Because
that was my concern as soon as he was first. I don't know.
That was the thing with him being the first one gone. Is this him done?
wrestling logic would denote that. I have not read anything in the Observer yet. I have not read anything in the Torch yet. It was my concern, though. There wasn't really much mentioning him later on in the month. Again, as ECW does, they just show highlights pretty much for the live event. We've seen that. But there was a minimal amount of fanfare, and especially being been out first. Hopefully not, because I was hoping to get the Jericho Douglas 1-on-1 for this title, maybe backing forward. If you put that in a card along with a Rob Van Dam and a Sabu, that's pretty much going to take your eyes off of the Walton Brawls throughout the rest of it. But,
I'd also quite like to see Jericho and Too Cold go at it 1-on-1.
Yep. You can easily pair up any of these four. I mean, as I say, Pitbull 2, they built for pretty much nothing. Obviously a bit forced with the injury to Pitbull 1. But 2's done brilliant. Him and Jericho had a decent match last month. Title change a couple of times in a couple of weeks out of nowhere. You can see him going with Scorpio. Scorpio and Douglas has been done before, but I would always get back to it. You've got Jericho and Douglas. It writes itself, pretty much. Moving on though. First elimination, we've got Lionheart out. Douglas tries to get Scorpio to team up with him against Pitbull 2. The fans beg him not to shake on the deal. Scorpio does, but instantly works over Douglas to good ovation. Pitbull gets knocked off the apron for good measure. Scorpio locks in a submission to Douglas, looks out at it, but Scorpio pulls out of the pinfall. How 80s. Douglas rallies, goes up top, but Scorpio nails a leaping sunset flip. He pulls in the Pitbull, goes for a moonsault, but he misses. Douglas then hits a DDT and tells Pitbull to pin him. In a twist of fate, Douglas then sets up Scorpio for the super bomb from Pitbull 2, a la the Pitbulls, and we're then down to 2. Lacey, this was a bit of a quick one, but give your thoughts on it just so I can rest my voice.
This was more sort of standard elimination match fodder. Getting them up, give them the one of the finishing moves or a combination of two big moves, get it done, thank you very much, and out of the way. Obviously, going in with the rest of the story of this match, the Pitbull and Douglas working together it's a bit strange. But,
That was your couple, by the way.
But, it's again, it shows Scorpio as the sort of guy that he doesn't have to win matches to be useful.
Yeah.
He very much can be the one that takes the fall, yet he'll still get his high-flying shit in.
Yep. Hits a tombstone, hits a tumbleweed, he's over as Rover. Take a pin, it's not going to kill him. Pretty much. Move on. Get Douglas and Pitbull brawling on the inside. This obviously does down to the 1-on-1 for the night. The fans offer cheers pretty much by the dozen. Pitbull high fives the cunt with a fucking straw hat. Franchise driven shoulder first into the post. Pitbull throws 2 chairs into the ring for good measure, sets them up. Powerbomb to Douglas through the chairs. He's a fucking franchise, man. He's taking powerbombs through chairs, Lacey.
That just looked vicious. If all with the table, it breaks your fall slightly and sort of, slows you going down.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's really thin wood, so it's probably not much different than going through just a normal super bomb. But bending 2 chairs, yes, obviously they say they're steel, but they are like thin aluminium. But yet still, that shit is gonna hurt.
And it's like, fuck that. No.
There is no way that doesn't.
And God love him, he took it like a trooper. But as always, the fans chant ECW. That makes it all worthwhile. Oh, the pending hernias, the bruised internal organs. It's all worth it for that chant of 3 letters. ECW. Pitbull 2 then goes for a table because a power bomb for just 2 chairs wouldn't be enough. Douglas crawls to the corner, tries to get away with it. The table then gets laid in the corner. Obviously no one told Pitbull 2 if you set up the weapon, you're going to get put through it. But Douglas reverses an Irish whip into the other corner. Belly to belly's Pitbull. Franchise then brings in Francine. Nicely over the top rope, showing off the pants. Lays in a lip lock. Pitbull 2 then knocks out the ref as he goes for Franchise. But as Pitbull 2 power lifts Franchise above his head, Francine then salts the eyes of Pitbull 2, strips off his skirt, shows franchise underwear, and out of nowhere, we get another return, Lacey. Pitbull 1 is back, comes in, takes out Douglas. The Pitbull set up the powerbomb and a table to the new Miss Douglas. Francine just gets fucking killed through the table. She lies face down, ass up, as all the good ones do. Franchise DTT's Pitbull 1, goes for the win, but Pitbull 2 kicks out. Douglas takes the brass nuts for the tights. Again, Pitbull 2 kicks out. If it doesn't get ridiculous enough, Douglas then takes a chain for the boot. 1, 2, fucking kick out. Pitbull 2 goes for a spin kick. Horrible bump over the turnbuckle to the outside. Douglas gets him back in. Belly to belly. 1, 2, 3. We've got a new champion. He gets the gold. He gets the crumpled, knicker-clad Francine. Carries both of them to the back. Lacey, talk for 5 minutes. Save my voice.
Well, let's first go on about the highlight of this final fall.
Francine's ass.
Francine getting fucking slammed for a table and ending up ass first. What I did love about this was the care that the referees and everyone around her gave when moving her out of the way. They lived, as someone who has had a broken back and neck, just grabbing them by one of their limbs and pulling them, the best, because, if you want to give it realism, you'd say that she's broken her neck.
ECW.
But, it's ECW, so don't worry about that. It's fine. We'll just move her out of the way. Pitbull 2, taking the multiple foreign object finishes and still getting up, is clearly there to go, I am a beast. What's a better way to get over a beast is that you really have to kill him to keep him down. Obviously, I take it would have been the conglomeration of all of them that kept him down more than just a belly to belly, because he took one of them earlier on and that didn't do the job.
See, that's what got to me, man. It's the belly to belly, doesn't get it done. He then knocks him, he then chains him, and it's the belly to belly. He's no fucking Dr. Robotnik, man. It's like, come on, bit of realism. But
bang him on the head 3 times and he'll go down.
But it was the meat and veg, as I said at the start of the show. I think this went just over 40 minutes. It was a beast of a match. So, Lacey, what do you think overall?
Overall, this was a really good elimination match. The first fall went probably about 25 minutes, but it did that long. It wasn't like it dragged or anything.
Yeah.
There was a good mix of action because of it being 2 in the ring at any one time. It worked. You get the combination of Jericho and Too Cold, Jericho with Douglas in there with Too Cold, Pitbull trying to get hold of Douglas but not being able to. That first fall held enough of a story on its own that everything that happened afterwards could happen that as quickly as it did. Because obviously once that first fall went, I think the rest of the match is probably about 10 minutes for the whole of the rest of the match. So, that initial bit means that once the first domino falls, it can have that sort of pace up and flow. It works so well because I've seen it a few times with elimination matches where the first fall, or maybe even the first 2 falls, go really quickly.
Yeah.
And the last fall drags on for ages. And this even happens in 2 out of 3 falls matches as well. That it sort of breaks the storytelling. Whereas obviously the first fall being the longer one, they're the fresher guys, and obviously the latter falls going quicker because they're already knackered.
Well, dare I play up to my character, Lacey, and get in a cheeky wee plug? Everybody can go back and listen to the Triple A when Worlds Collide event. The late Art Bar, the American Love Machine and Eddie Guerrero. 2 out of 3 falls, rapid first 2, then it went to the third and it went longer. I thought that was a brilliant match, but this was done pretty much the opposite way. As you say, pretty much a kind of 20-25 minute first fall. As we said at the start, you could maybe make the argument that there's a couple of singles matches in this. But I thought that the cogs in the machine worked. The bit at the end I didn't see coming, which isn't always kind of the way in ECW. But they done well. The Francine turn was pretty well done. Where that goes, I don't quite know. It's nice to see the Pitbulls back together. How long term that is, bearing in mind the injury to Pitbull 1, I don't know. Plus, you've got a very, very stacked tag roster at the minute. Do the Pitbulls fit into that, especially the build that they've done in 2 last month? I don't know. But overall, I think it's safe to say match of the night, very well delivered.
2 thumbs up.
So, hard cut. We get Luis Piccoli in the ring. He's going up against Pablo Marquez and El Puerto Ricano in what's pretty much a glorified squash. Out comes Sabu, and we then get a scheduled match. Luis Piccoli going up against Sabu. Piccoli starts with a beatdown and Sabu is out in a neck brace. Kicks and clubs to the neck, garners chance of you fat fuck for ECW fans. Elias cover gets a 2. Another sees Sabu just managed to get his foot in the rope. Piccoli seems a bit stumped early on how he can beat Sabu, but the Arabian takes him to the outside, launching himself into an air Sabu plancha over the guardrail as he hits his second win. Back in ring, Sabu sets up the chair, leaps for the chair to the top rope, landing bang on Piccoli on the second row with a second chair shot just for good measure. Piccoli then gets draped over the ropes. Sabu misses with a senton as Joey Styles almost poetically compares him to Evel Knievel. Sabu again pulls out during the chair spot, as we've seen earlier on with Axel Rotten. He bests Piccoli, falls to the outside. Sabu bridges a table between the apron and the guardrail, and then moonsaults from the top through it, and Piccoli from atop. Sabu, just every fucking time we see him, is just another step closer to death. How long he is going to last, I don't know. A broken Piccoli gets his foot in the ropes as he gets put back in for the pin. A triple jump moonsault only gets a 2, and Piccoli Germans with a lovely bridge for a 2 of his own. Big man gets to the top. Sabu clocks him, goes for a springboard Rana, but Piccoli holds the top rope. Sabu just crumples to the mat. Sabu dodges a splash attempt. Piccoli dodges an Arabian facebuster. Sabu tries to work the knees with a couple of low drop kicks, but Piccoli stomps him down. Sabu launches a chair at the top rope with Piccoli on the turnbuckle, lands a super DDT for the top, and then finishes him off with the facebuster for the win. Lacey, I didn't expect much of this when I seen Piccoli at the start. Again, we've seen it earlier on where you could almost argue that Sabu gets lumbered with Mikey, but again, it doesn't need to be in the ring with Rob Van Dam. I thought this was a surprisingly decent match considering.
It was, it was one of those of, obviously, Sabu does Sabu shit, but as with always with Sabu, he does something new. That triple jump chair shot into the crowd. Wouldn't want to be in the crowd for that, because he does probably not give 2 fucks if he does hit someone in the crowd. Obviously, my initial thought with this match is this from the same night? Because Sabu in his opener was in pink gear, and now he's in silver gear.
He's up on the professional.
Consistency. But obviously, it was your standard sort of Sabu thing. He does what Sabu always does. And I don't know if it will get old, but it's always fun to, watch him triple jump through tables and backflip into things and just, dive around holding a chair.
Even if his shit does get old, man, let's just fucking hope and pray that Sabu finally gets up. Because I've got my doubts, man. Who do you think would get a better premium on life insurance, Sabu or Keith Richards? Because I wouldn't fucking touch either of them with a pole, man.
Though, Keith Richards has slowed it down a bit now. Sabu
looks the same fucking age as Keith Richards, man.
There is that. But, the thing with Sabu, which I'd probably say that he'd be harder to get, is that he one-ups himself every time. So what's next?
Does it not tell him something, though, that ECW is the land of one-upsmanship? We speak about it every month. Does it not tell Sabu something that he's got to try and one-up himself, because no other fucker would even try and one-up him?
See, there's a one-upping in sort of walking brawls, like we've said before, and the violence section. I don't know if anyone... The only person that probably could do it, but wouldn't, is Too Cold. Because Too Cold has that athletic ability to do the bits and pieces.
37, so...
You know, he's the sort of guy that could do the sort of shit that Sabu does, but he wouldn't because, you know, he
values life.
Yeah. Pretty much.
But as you say there, man, one-upsmanship, though, again, just props to Joey Styles, man. The comparison to Evil Knievel is like the only comparison you could make to Sabu.
It pretty much is, you know, he has got a death wish. Or has zero fear.
So, time for the main. Bob Ortiz does the introductions. Styles does the rules. As I said earlier on, I'm going to let them break it down because I just get confused.
And this Saturday night, it's Heat Wave 96 at the ECW Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The main event, Rage of the Cage. 6-man tag team action, sort of. Raven, Stevie Richards, and primetime Brian Lee against the Sandman, Terry Bam Bam Gordy, and Tommy Dreamer. Raven and the Sandman start inside the cage. Gordy and Richards start atop the stage, battle their way to the floor. First man to hit the floor walks into the cage for 2-on-1. Primetime and Tommy Dreamer, Falls Count anywhere, and I mean anywhere in the city of Philadelphia. The stipulations, if Richards gets beat during the course of this matchup, Raven loses the World Heavyweight title. Richards defending Raven's World Heavyweight title belt, but it's about more than just the belt.
So, start of the match, Raven tries to get in Sandman's head. He offers Tyler's return to the Sandman if he's spared. And then we start off with the main. It's going to be Sandman, Bam Bam Gordy, and Tommy Dreamer going up against Raven, Stevie Richards, and primetime Brian Lee. Raven canes down the Sandman at the start, locks in a figure 4 onto the Sandman's new knee. Leonard Skinner hits, and out comes Bam Bam and goes straight for Stevie Richards up the Eagle's nest. Gordy and Stevie go at it up there. Richards is pretty much bust open to fuck already. The two go kind of pretty much touring the crowd. Brian Lee gets his hands on Bam Bam. Tommy Dreamer then makes his way out, absolutely buzzing, goes for Brian Lee. Supernova and Blue Dust get trash canned for trying to interfere. Tommy takes Brian Lee up through the new bleachers. We cut back to in-ring. Gordy throws the champ repeatedly into the cage. Richards climbs over and misses a splash for the top of the cage. Bam Bam then works over Stevie. We see Dreamer nail Brian Lee with the door at ringside. Raven goes for Bam Bam but gets a pile driver. Pretty much worryingly, due to the cage, you can actually make out the crowd brawls easier than the in-ring, but I'll try my best. Brian Lee suplexes Tommy to the door that they've got for the crowd. Richards twice hits Gordy with a super kick, but Bam Bam stands tall. Raven and Sandman sit gassed in the corners. Brian Lee tries to get in, hits by Gordy. The two horses just go to the outside. Raven and Richards get the better of Sandman in the cage. Gordy and Dreamer team up in prime time. Tommy gets into the cage, kicks Stevie, canes Raven. Beulah and Kimona then pass Tommy handcuffs. Well, if they're good enough for Beulah and Kimona in the bedroom, they're good enough for this. 1995's Heat Wave comes back to mind. Raven gets cuffed to the cage in an almost kind of cross stance. Sandman grabs the cane just before Tyler comes in. He blocks the champion, does the Raven pose, avoids the crucifixion, and Tommy Dreamer and Sandman square off as Tommy apparently doesn't see any issues with just Kane and Tyler. Behind their eyes, Supernova cuts Raven free for the cage. Sandman and Dreamer go to the ground. Raven gets DDT'd, and both Dreamer and Sandman only get a 2. Outside the ring, Raven's flock stack 3 tables. That's 3 atop each other. Dreamer and Brian Lee trade blows at the top of the cage. But before Tommy manages to get his bearings, night again, Tommy boy. Lee hits the primetime slam through the tables to holy shit chants. Brian Lee comes down to assess the damage, but Missy Hyatt comes out, lip locks him. During the distraction, Sandman gets the pin and Raven, but as Stevie survived, he retains the title. Post-match, Bam Bam Gordy and Brian Lee swap bombs. We fade to black with Tommy again getting checked by the doctors, and Bam Bam again steals the spotlight due to the crowd's ovation. Lacey, I'm a wee bit kind of confused with the rules even after hearing it for Joey Styles, but with the Jinky, this is a main.
It was overbooked for the whole Bam Bam and Stevie starting in the Eagle's Nest. First one to the cage gets to go in, but if Stevie gets pinned, Raven loses his belt. Tommy and Brian Lee are starting somewhere else in the building. Technically, they're not meant to go into the cage, but officially there's nothing for them not to. Raven and Sandman in the cage. Technically, if they're in a cage, shouldn't there not be any interference? It's so much shit put into one bag, and it really doesn't work. And again, with this type of match, as I said earlier, the camera crew can't keep up with it, and you lose so much. There's moments in this match where they say something happened. We didn't see it. So, you know, if a tree falls in the wood and no one's there, did it fall? You just don't know, because obviously we didn't see it. It wasn't shown because the cameras can't keep up with what's going on. For such a pointless match, Tommy taking that mega chokeslam through the 3 tables is extreme. Because is anyone actually going to remember that in the grand scheme of this event? Or is it all going to just be sort of lost in the cluster that was the main event that really didn't do anything for anyone except probably fuck Tommy's back up a bit?
And Beulah and Kimona are doing a good set of handcuffs. It's like, there's no winners in this. I pretty much agree, man. To be honest, I kind of said almost jokingly in the middle that it was genuinely easier to see the crowd brawls than it was the in-ring. That was genuine. The overbooting of the full thing kind of put a bit of a sour note in it. Again, what was the outcome of this? Does it build Sandman because he's pinned the champion? Does that mean he gets a title shot? Does it mean there's going to be kind of dissension even more than usual between Stevie and Raven? The girls getting involved in it, the flock getting involved with it. Is this the last time we're going to see Bam Bam Gordy? Tommy again, just not to the Sabu extent, but just kind of taking ridiculous bumps. And if it's anything like last month, if this is just going to be filling the last 2 minutes of the next Hardcore TV, just look at this shit. And then starting the second Hardcore TV, look at this shit. What does it do? I don't know. Personally, I thought it was a wee bit of a damp end to the night. Lacey, just thoughts overall on the show. That's pretty much the meat and veg of this show. But what was the thoughts overall? And if you could, please, a score rating out of 10.
Well, if it didn't have the 40-minute four-way, I wouldn't say even go anywhere near this. But the 40-minute four-way match is definitely a reason to watch. Obviously, you know, your Sabu stuff is Sabu, you know, it's standard Sabu fare. Obviously, the Eliminators tag match first and then his singles match. So if you like seeing what Sabu does in the ring.
And his wide array of different pants.
Then obviously it's worth a watch. But other than that, it's pretty sort of meaningless as a show. So other than those 3 things, I can only really give it a 5.
I'm going to be a bit nicer. There was some good things in it for me. Obviously, there is the TV title match, which, as you say, if you take that out, not just for a number point of view, you're going to be doing about an hour and a half of a show without that. But just the athleticism and that, the four guys done their part, they've done really well. I like that. I like the end as well with the full Francine turn. I thought it was pretty innovative. Everybody kind of played up to their characters as well. Where you've got Pitbull 2 as a beast. You've got Too Cold that's in there that wants his belt back. As you say, I'm a bit worried maybe with the Lionheart situation. If we're not going to see Jericho again, I only hope it's till we see him on a bigger stage, because he could put on some good matches with ECW audiences, but he could also do it in a WWF, a WCW. I just hope he's not going to be going back to Japan or Mexico. The four-way obviously was a match of the night, but as you say, you get Sabu doing Sabu shit, which is never a bad thing. All Brown Eyes didn't sing a song, so that's an automatic point off. Overall, though, I would probably give it a 7, just purely for that match in the middle, plus a good couple of spots throughout it. It's not something that you're going to really miss too much if you don't catch it, but overall, I would go with a 7.
I'm Joey Styles. You're watching Extreme Championship Wrestling, and the ramifications of what you have just seen will be felt here at ECW for a long time to come. 911, who for a year and a half was thought of by all the fans as the toughest man on the face of the earth. 6'8", 330 pounds of raw bone muscle. He chokeslammed some of the biggest clowns and the toughest guys in professional wrestling. He chokeslammed anyone who stood against him or stood against what ECW stands for, until he met the human suplex machine Taz. And if 911 can't stop the one-man crime spree, who can? Because Taz has choked out the likes of Bam Bam Bigelow, Bubba Ray Dudley, Dangerous Devin Storm, Nakagawa, Too Cold Scorpio, Lionheart Chris Jericho, Mikey Whipwreck, and Ultimate Fighter, the Polar Bear, Paul Varlett. Again, I pose the question, if 911 was unable to stop the one-man crime spree known as Taz, who can? Later on in this program, we'll show you a shocking turn of events that may answer the question, who can stop the path of rage? Welcome back to ECW. All the eyes of the wrestling world are focused on this weekend and the World Heavyweight Champion Raven's title defense against the Sandman this past weekend in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania.
And after a live event showing, couple of weeks left in the month TV-wise. Again, ECW format, it is pretty much just highlight driven, but there is a couple of things here and there. We'll run through it. We start off just after Heat Wave, we start July 16th, Hardcore TV. We get the recap with the full tag team situation with the Gangsters, the Eliminators, the Harris Brothers and the Samoans. We get quick highlights of the Gangsters and the Samoans, and then the Mikey and Paul Lauria match. Then the Heat Wave tag title match. Styles announces the next installment of the Van Dam Sabu saga. And we're then here for Devon Dudley, basically just trying to defend his actions against these brothers. Says Big Dick is just trying to sweep the issues under the rug. He compares Dick to Madonna, and he says he himself is more like a virgin, innocent to the core. We see, thankfully, short highlights for another live event where we get Todd Gordon and Bill Alfonso's Lumberjack match. Fonzie then cuts a promo building Taz being the hardest trainer in the world. And the Gangsters cut a very strange promo, complete with nooses fixed around their necks, calling out Jimmy Cornette for Smoky Mountain and WWF fame, and saying that he's a closet racist and that he owes them money.
Welcome to Smoky Mountain Championship Wrestling. Even though it didn't last but 4 years, Jimmy Cornette, you still owe me money. How does it feel to have an organization that ran 5 nights a week and didn't last but 4 years? Jimmy Cornette, you undercover racist? Stop him!
You still owe me $100.
And he need his money. You pimp. Pay the hoes. We need our money, and we want it now.
This was different.
I thought the Phil Alfonso promo was a wee bit strange at the start, but it did go somewhere. The Gangsters, I don't know, it was strange.
Obviously, there's probably some history, because I do believe the Gangster did work Smoky Mountain while it was
very
still...
recently before the ECW debut last year as well.
While it was still being run by Cornette, but there
was a quote that came out for, well, at least it's attributed to Jimmy Cornette this month, where I believe he's accused Mr. Heyman, Paulie of all people, apparently would rather climb the tree to tell a lie than stand on the ground and tell the truth. You can make what you believe of that. But
I think that's pot kettle black.
Perhaps the Louisville Slugger is perhaps not whiter than white, but when you mix them into a pot with the Master Paulie, and then you throw in the Gangster just for a bit of salt and pepper, it's choose your poison, take what side you want to. I'm taking fuck all to do with it. Moving on, we get July 23rd. Styles tries another kind of ECW fable of a what shoot angle in response to last week's closing angle with the Gangsters. He refers to the Samoans by their family name, Anoa'i, just to try and be more believable, as if they may have been a bit more believable if they didn't use wrestling holds in an attack. Doing a brainbuster to concrete, pretty brutal, but bearing in mind New Jack's involvement in pulling off that manoeuvre might have made the what shoot a wee bit more believable. We get a quick promo for Raven. He's saying that all of the kids' happiness and joy, i.e. Tyler, has been transferred to him. And Laurie Fullington, as she is now known, no longer Miss Peaches, Laurie saying that she'll sacrifice anything for Raven. We got a full replay of the TV title Four Corners match. Again, as we said in the show review, pretty much a 40-minute match. Oddly, it's then followed immediately by a highlight package of the TV title Four Corners match, who sees ECW phone in a 5-week month. Cutting back to July 30th, last show of the month, we got a replay of the Taz Styles and 911 bit for Heat Wave. Styles builds up 911 in a video package and asks just who can stop Taz. We see a couple of bits of fan cam footage for Jim Thorpe. Raven mocks Sandman, who then runs the ring and gets beat down. We get a replay of the Louis Piccoli re-debut in his match with Sabu. Another bit of fan cam footage. We get the Gangsters, the Samoans and the Harrises. Highlights again of Brian Lee choking at Terry Gordy with his own spike submission. And Taz runs down who Tommy Dreamer's potential partner is going to be for the August 3rd live event. Talks about Terry Funk as an old piece of shit. Talks about Terry Gordy, Paul Varro and Sabu. Dreamer tells Taz that he's got the one man that he fears. But Taz says, unlike Sabu, he will face his fears. Who is the opponent, Lacey? What do you think?
Seeing the fact that it's ECW, it could literally be anyone. Because, anyone could just not turn up to a show because none of them are on contracts. But you'd imagine how it's been set out that it's going to be Sabu. But then at the same time, isn't this the show that Sabu and RVD are having their stretcher match?
That's what was putting me off that, because obviously Styles announced the next part of that. That then surely takes Sabu out of that match, but he pulled double duty on Heatwave. Could he do it again? I don't know. We could literally sit here and just throw names out. It could well be a disappointment. It could well be brilliant. Dare I say the last time that Paulie was backed into a corner, he pulled out Rick Steiner.
Now, if he pulls out either of the Steiner brothers, I'll be happy.
That's just the 80s fan in you, Lacey.
Well, there's nothing wrong with seeing the Steiner brothers lobbing people about.
And then I say, if you throw them into the same company, let's get fucking Devon, Babe Ruth, Dudley swinging chairs, Sabu doing Sabu shit, and Tommy Dreamer just collapsing from scaffolding anywhere across a building. Fuck knows what we would get if the Steiners come back in. But after that last review, July 30th, that pretty much brings us to the end of the show. The only real discussion I've really got for you, Lacey, as I say, it's not really a big noteworthy month. It's actually something that you brought up. in the show. We were just pretty much going to wrap up, but I've got my boy in the podcast. We might as well talk. What do you think long term about this roster? Something that I'd done last month when I was back on with Rory is I look back to the same show for 1995. It's very much a different roster if you include the likes of a Public Enemy, a Cactus Jack, a Terry Funk. This year, we're seeing the likes of a Lionheart, Chris Jericho getting eliminated first in a 4-way. We're seeing the Gangsters, which are pretty much realistically getting billed as the most popular tag team in the history of the company, which, as I say, at first sounds ridiculous, but in second thought, probably could be true. Where do you see this roster going full-time, especially when we've still not got an update of when there's a pay-per-view? Who do you think's the kind of big players for an ECW point? Who, again, would you say is maybe the big players for almost a free agent point of view as well?
See, I'd have to look at the sort of top end of the card first and go, who's there that would likely be taken up by the big two? Raven has history with both, because obviously he was Scotty Flamingo in WCW and
the glorious Johnny Polo.
Yeah, so obviously he has contacts and stuff there and was there before. Would either of them take the Raven character? Who knows, because it's a little bit culty. With, Hulk Hogan family-friendly WCW and Vince's very, very family-friendly gimmicky characters, I don't see Raven as he is here, manipulating people psychologically, working in either. Sort of, that also being said, Sabu, you can't see him going into either with his style. Sandman drinking and smoking would not work. Obviously, you would say that Shane Douglas would go again, but then we've seen what happened when he did, and he was completely unhappy. He was given a shitty gimmick, so I would imagine that Shane will stay. I don't think he'll want to take that experiment again. Too Cold could probably go. Obviously, I know he had some time in WCW before, but he's one that definitely could, fit in athletically with either of them. You could put him up in WCW. They've got Benoit, and from what I've sort of rumours of, they're looking at lightweights and light heavyweights there. You could blag his weight a bit and say that he's in sort of weight division. Jericho, obviously, who knows what's going on with him. But your staples, I think, that will definitely stay. The Gangsters.
Dare I say New Jack's not going anywhere? I don't think.
I don't think either of the national companies would want anything to do with New Jack. And I don't think the Dudleys would work or get anywhere near the level they are anywhere else. I mean, they'd be pretty safe to stay there as well. It's the thing, depending on what the big two want to do and where they're going, it would depend on what sort of a people they'd go after. The little I've seen of that of RVD, change his style slightly, make him a little bit less using of weapons, but that probably is just because he's in there with Sabu. Could sort of, he's athletically good enough to go to either of the other two. You'd say the Eliminators could quite easily sort of go into either fledgling tag team divisions and do well. What say you, Del? Who would you sort of look at?
For me, I think with the two nationals, it's all about the look. If you're looking at that from an aesthetic point of view, I think the two that's there with a bullet for me are Rob Van Dam and Jericho. Whether it's going to be something that they would have they kind of announced to do it. Obviously, there's a full contract situation with ECW for pretty much everybody is fair game. It's a very interesting point. I say it was just purely a kind of very selfish discussion point for me, just bearing in mind the point you brought up about Jericho. It does panic me a wee bit that he was first eliminated, but as we look back and kind of see where ECW was last year, we said what they're going to do when this roster goes away, bearing in mind that you had a Malenko and Guerrero kind of saga that was coming to an end. You had a Chris Benoit that came in almost scared to say boo to a goose, and then he's cutting promos and pre-tapes. It's coming on well. Cactus, I thought, had maybe burned a bridge in Atlanta, which could well turn out to be the truth, bearing in mind the full tag team split situation. But he's obviously went to New York, and kind of they've given him a bit of kind of airtime. Hopefully we can see the likes of the promos and everything coming out, because it is you almost see it as kind of rough diamonds that's in ECW, whether they're there kind of being a bit too flashy with the likes of Scorpio, or maybe a bit kind of, hey, cool with Rob Van Dam. I don't know. It's something that I think with, especially with the kind of turn in the road that WCW's took this month, if you listen to part one, it does almost hit the reset button where pretty much anything could happen, because if that happens in Atlanta, fuck knows what could happen anywhere else. But pretty much that will bring us to a close for this month's ECW show. Lacey, I just want to hand over to you. Plug fuck it to Super Brawls and anything else that will cross your mind.
Well, as we all know, I do look back at the glory days of WCW. We have just released the Starrcade 91, the very first Lethal Lottery / Battle Bowl. And dear God, that's a terrible, terrible execution of what could have been a really good concept. And possibly,
the fax is getting sent, Bobby. The fax is getting sent.
And potentially by the time this is out, our Super Clash bonus episode could be out. Because obviously at the end of each year, we sort of take a random show and do it as a bonus episode to sort of tide over the end of the year. And randomly flicking on the network after recording an episode, we went, oh, let's have a look what they've got in the AWA vaults. And there it was, Super Clash 3, main evented by Kerry Von Erich versus Jerry the King Lawler, title versus title unification.
Yes.
And with such wonderful matches as Manny Fernandez and Wahoo McDaniels in an Indian strap match. And as if you've listened to Super Brawls, you know how much I hate fucking Wahoo. You've got a lingerie street fight battle royal.
Has anyone ever segued from Wahoo McDaniel to lingerie?
from a promotion called the POWW, the Powerful Women of Wrestling.
Pow!
That's a sight to be seen. And it's fucking awful. But after that, we do get to cleanse with the second of the Japanese super shows, WCW versus New Japan. And if the first one's anything to go by, it should be awesome.
Pretty decent, yeah.
So you can find all of that on iTunes, search Super Brawls. We're on Podbeam, but I don't know how that works, so probably search Super Brawls. Twitter at Super Brawls, Facebook Super Brawls. It's all nice and easy to find. And obviously, if you want my musing on other things like music, football, films, politics, or look at the disgustingly fatty foods that I'm eating with pictures of me putting up donut burgers and things, then follow me on Lacey555666.
And everyone listening, if they have got to this point, bearing in mind the dream team that has been reformed, that was a sell, my friend. That was a sell. My name is Del Muir. That's Chris Lacey. Do obviously check out the Wrestling 20 Years Ago website, wrestling20yrs.com. Sign up to the RSS feed. check us out on iTunes. The AAA show is still there. Do catch that out for nothing less than me speaking Spanish. Do also subscribe on iTunes. Do leave a rating. Do give us a review. They do matter. Bobby Bamber, with it tooting his own, has apparently written the best thing he has ever written for the website as well. So check that out. If you do want to miss anything, do sign up to the newsletter. We don't spam. We will just send you a monthly newsletter. It'll give you the highlights of the blogs, highlights of the shows. We've obviously got the Monday Night War waging on. There's been part 1 and part 2 of this month. We're in your house, and part 2, and obviously Bash at the Beach on part 1. Do check out everything that is there. The website's there, the RSS feed, the newsletter, the iTunes. Again, do leave a review and a subscription. But as I say, for Bobby Bamber, this has been the Wrestling 20 Years Ago podcast, Volume 3 for July 1996. That was Chris Lacey. My name is Del Muir. I am on Twitter, but don't follow me, follow Jesus. And until next time, goodbye.